Hello everyone! I'm here to record this for you today. The main knitting tutorial of slippers, that's what it looks like. Then the main tutorial without accessories. Well, the weaving method is the same. I'm here to record a general version for you, whether it is a size of 20 or the largest size 4 or 4. The knitting method is the same method of getting up, it's just that the number of rows is different, and we took out that crystal solely. Then crystal sole, and what I'm going to show you today is 38 yards. 38 yards of 38 yards. The weaving method of the left and right feet is the same. It's just that the number of rows woven is different. Then 40 to 44 yards, we can weave 9 rows. Size 35-40, we can weave 8 rows. Then 30 to 35 yards can weave 7 rows, and then, well, the following secondary sizes can be woven. 6 rows or 5 rows. We still need to see this during the knitting process. Everyone. Then try it on your feet. Some like the feet to be longer. Some like it shorter. This can be adjusted according to everyone. And let's have a look. I used this size 38 today, so let me show you. And we were knitting. First, take out the insole. A circle of soles. Take out the insoles when we tick. It's more convenient. Well, the weaving method of the left and right feet is the same. So we're going to teach you how to find the place to mark. We're going to tilt our heads directly in front of us, facing ourselves. And let's take a look. I don't know what's in this video. Can you see clearly? There's a vertical bar, and that's a vertical bar. Then our first row. Well, when we ticked the first row, yes, there are 4 patterns to tick. 4 patterns here, we find the center line here. There's a slash. 2 stitches on the left and 2 stitches on the right, a total of 4 stitches. Let's do the marking buckle. And now let's take 2 stitches to the right. That's center line 1, 2. Just put the mark buckle in this one. We take a marker buckle and we do it. Okay, here are the 2 stitches on the right. We're going to do 2 stitches to the left from the center line. 1, 2. Okay, we're going to do the top corner here. There are 4 stitches in total in the middle. Okay, here we just put the position of its needle, already found. Then pay attention to our shoes. The purchase method of using short needles for all the soles. Then we come to find that heel place, heel. Well, now it's the heel coming towards us. There's also a center line at the heel of this place. Can you see it? There's also a vertical bar here that's the center line. We need to find 6 stitches of this kind. It is the needle that we want to hook the short needle. If you hook a short needle on the sole, add a needle. It won't hurt our feet after we put it on, then make it thicker. And there's a center line here. We are 3 stitches to the right, 3 stitches to the left. It is to find the location where we add the needle. You can take a look. We count 3 stitches to the right, 123. Okay, so we're going to put a marker on here. This center of gravity line, 3 stitches on the left and right sides. Now let's count. 3 stitches on the left. 23 good. We are here to make friends. The beginning position. Well, I've found it. Now what we're going to do is weave. The way we needle when knitting. The way we start the needle is you knit from right to left. And then there's a vertical. There is also a vertical bar here. It's where the mark buckle is made. You can take a look. I don't know what's in the video. Can you see clearly? You can take out the soles of your shoes and take a look. We find out, and this is where we start the needle. Or if not, you can roughly find a needle. It doesn't matter. A stitch on the left and a stitch on the right doesn't matter. And we're going to bring it out here, and we're going to pull out the strands. Attention, everyone! When we open the ball of thread, it starts in the middle. Pull one out. And then it doesn't, roll around. It is also more convenient for everyone to knit. Then we find the thread. After finding the thread, we took out our crochet. Okay, let's get out our crochet. Then find the thread. Pay attention when we hook the soles of our shoes. 1 circle on the sole, we need to use the thin end. Then when we hook the upper, we use this thick one again. It's the big head. And here we go. Hook teaches everyone to lead the line. Everybody pay attention when we hooked. This is because the sole of this shoe is integrally formed. Sometimes this hole is not available. Well, the hole didn't open. That's what we use. Poke the crochet like this so that you can bring thread behind it. Keep it simple. Okay, let's teach everyone to start leading. Pull the thread over and roll it around the little finger. Then this is on the index finger. Up around and then pinch the thread with your thumb and middle finger. Then we start putting it in the sole of the shoe. And we've just talked about, this is the vertical bar here. And then the needle next to it is where we started the needle. If you can't find this vertical bar, just a few stitches, it doesn't matter. And we're now going to crochet it through. And then our ice bar line is placed inside the sole of the shoe. Hold this down with your finger. After pressing and holding, everyone will take a look. Crochet winding. Bring the rope. Okay. We're bringing the line, come here, bring the line. Let's take a look. This thread is always inside the sole. Hold it down with this middle finger. And now we're going to crochet winding. Stand a lock pin. This is a lock pin. You remember that? Don't hook too tightly when the first circle of soles. After the lock needle, because we have a short hook in each hole. Needle, and then below we're going to hook a short needle. The knitting method of short needles is below, hole and needle and needle. Then this thread is above the crochet. Then we are in crochet from the bottom up to bring the thread out. Now there are 2 coils on the crochet. Attention everyone. These 2 coils we all need to be flush on a horizontal line. Not too loose and not too tight. Now there are 2 coils. And then we crochet and wind. Go through the 2 in turn. So we wind this wire through 2 coils in sequence. Crochet winding is good, bring it here. Take a look here. There is a V word here. So here's our first shot. Let's mark him. Buckle up the mark and buckle up. After buckling the mark buckle, so we're going to do the second stitch. For the second needle, we hook a short needle in the next hole. Crochet, wear it in. The thread is always above the crochet. Then crochet the thread from bottom to top. Drag it out, okay? Now there are 2 coils on the crochet. Crochet winding. Go through the 2 coils in sequence. We're done with the second one. And then next, we're going to hook a short needle for each hole. Crochet winding from bottom to top. Okay, make sure the 2 horizontal lines are flush. Crochet winding, drag over. This is our short needle. The sole circle is crocheted with a short needle. Then the next shot, crochet winding on the same level. Crochet is good. We'll hook this up. Next, we're going to hook and see the threads in here. We're done hiding. Just leave it alone. Then crochet and wind. Okay, now we're going to do the next stitch to tick this marker. The US inside are also short needles. We take the markings off. Crochet winding. Make sure the 2 coils are on the same horizontal line. After this is ticked, we're still going to put the glue on. It is buckled on the purpose of this V-shaped needle. Buckle up. Okay, let's continue to tick. Stitch winding. Next. Okay, take this muscle buckle off. We're going to do the same. Short needle. Okay, same thing when we're done. Buckle it up. You have to deduct this. We will tick it later when it is convenient. Look for the needle in the first row. Okay. Next, each hole is the same. Hook the short needle. Crochet winding. Crochet winding. Everyone must be elastic and consistent. Do not have 1 coil larger and 1 coil smaller. It won't be balanced if it's hooked like this. And let's take a look. Each hole should be hooked with a short needle. Here, I'll hook you up faster. Hook all the way to the front of this buckle for a stitch. Crochet. Each hole is hooked with a short needle. Remember that the tightness must be consistent. Let's tick this together. Okay, we got it. Hook the mark and make the mark buckle here. And then we do the next 6 stitches. They are all hooked with a short needle and a needle. It is to hook 2 short needles in one hole. Let's take a look. We'll take off the glue button here. After taking it off, our next 6 stitches, it's all hooked inside the same hole. 2 short needles. Let's take a look. Let's take the first short needle first. Okay. And we're going to reinsert the needle through this hole. Hook another one. The short needle is good. This is the addition of a short needle. Now we're hooked. We're going to tick the second one. We have to tick 6 in total. The first and the second from the same void. Hook. Okay, number 3. Short needle plus needle. 4th. Fifth. Okay, the 6th and last short needle plus needle. Needle insertion. Winding. Then hook a short needle with a needle. Okay, here we are adding the needle for the short needle. 6 stitches have been hooked. After the hook is done, we still have to hook the short needle. Hook until it is a needle in front of the standing needle. Everybody pay attention. Every short needle must be hooked. I won't tick this with everyone. Everybody tick off these stitches. Hook it all the way to this one and we will knit it together. Okay, I've hooked it now and there's one more stitch. Let's hook the lip winding with everyone. Okay, and then pay attention. At first, we didn't have hook short needles here. It hooks a standing needle. Then the needle doesn't count as the number of needles, and then we're still at this. Put a short needle in this hole of the standing needle. Let's take a look. The crochet goes in through this. Pull it out. Good stitch winding. We have already hooked the circle of this sole, so we're all going to stretch the coil a little bit. Pull it bigger and we'll cut the thread. Cut it off and pull this thread out. Then we proceed now. Give it to the line, and everybody pulled out the needle. Take it out and take a look. Mark this, buckle this stitch. We take it down. We put a stitch in front of the marker buckle. Wear it here. Go in on this coil. Now let's take this mark off. Good coil. Pull it out. And this is what we have here. Inside the V word. It's the hook inside this needle. Inner half needle. To pick half is to pick half of him. In this coil, the zigzag also comes out. Pick it out and pull it in. Is that so? Let's adjust this coil to be about the same size. Then this also forms a V word. Even we have a needle here. And then next we're on the inside of the diagonal. Then put the suture needle in on the head. Hide a few stitches. Then just cut off that thread. Okay. Then cut that thread off. Okay. In this way, we have already hooked the sole once. And then after the hook is done, we put that insole. I want you to stick it in there. After the insoles are ready, then we are now next to the place to hook the upper. Pay attention to the place where the upper is hooked. 1234. We have already found the 4 needles. After finding, and where is the needle? That is, our side is the first needle to be buckled. And then here is an empty needle. Empty needle. Interval stitches start here. Next time we're going to hook. Use the big end of the crochet to hook the inclined surface. We'll just leave an empty stitch here at the marker. Next stitch to hook. We bring the thread out and take it out. After taking it out, we will bring the line. Let's take a look after going online. We are still the same. Put the thread under this one. After the thread is placed under this, we hook and hide. Then it's also crochet winding to pull the thread out. Attention, everyone. Our bevels are hooked with medium and long needles. Then the same way crochet and wind, we make a pin. Now come to the first oblique surface of Gooksy station. First row and then first row, we are 2 medium and long needles are hooked inside 1 stitch. For a trick? And now let's hook medium and long needles. Crochet method of medium and long needles. Crochet and wind from bottom to top. Then we are in. There's a pin in this marker. Take a look at the needle in the marking buckle. And then here's where we take the marker off. After insertion, our thread is always above the crochet. Hide the hook. Then crochet the thread from bottom to top. Okay, pick it up. Turn it up. Here we have 3 coils on the hook now. And then we crochet. The crochet wire is pulled over these 3 coils at once. Okay, this is our medium and long needle. This medium and long needle has been hooked. Our only trick is 2 medium and long needles. Just in the same, hook 2 medium and long needles inside the needle mesh. The next crochet and wind, still in the same place. Hook medium and long needles are good. Now there are 3 coils on the crochet. Crochet winding dragged in turn. 3 coils. Okay, so here's our first trick. It's already ticked. Next we hook the second flower wall. It's the needle next to it. We still hook medium and long needles the same. Crochet winding hook in the next hole. Keep the thread inside this thread always on it. Crochet winding. Pull this coil a little bigger. Then the crochet winding is dragged through at one time. Okay, the first normal needle hook of the second pattern is ready. Next we are in the same hole again. Hook medium and long needle. Crochet winding. It's still hooked in the same hole just now. Okay, there are 3 coils in the crochet. Crochet is good. This is the second trick and it's already hooked. This is the first one. The second one, we're going to hook the third one. Still the same way, crochet and wind. In the next hole. Needle hook inside, medium and long needle plus needle. Crochet winding. Hook another one. Okay, stitch and thread. Okay. Next you can see that 1233 sets of patterns are hooked. Next we tick the button. The 4th one here is also, this is the last one in the first row. We take the markings off. Same method. Crochet winding. The crochet winding thread is when this is adjusted. A little smaller than the other 3, not that big. Crochet is good. The first one. The crochet winding is still hooked in the same hole. Okay, second one. Okay. Here we are, the first row. We're already hooked. After the hook is done, let's take a look. And then this is number 4. This 4th set of patterns. The 4th pattern after the 4th pattern. Then we empty the needle. Take another stitch, take the next stitch, and do the pull. It's just crochet going in and pulling the thread out. Now there are 2 coils on the crochet. From the moment we put this first coil, bring it out through the second coil. Just pull it out. After the first lap is done, we're going to set up another needle. The floor stitch is crochet and the winding is dragged directly over. Okay, we're going to turn this coil up after we drag it over. How big did you pick? That is, we are going to That is, we are going to put this sole. Go around this coil. Just go around. Come around and take a look. Come around and we'll pull this thread. Turn the coil down. We are the first on this side. The first row is already ticked. Next, we hook the second row. That's us. This is the thick ice strip line. We just have an empty stitch in the middle of each row of ticks. Empty one stitch for the second row of knitting. So let's take a look. Here we go. This control line we're going to pull over. Let's adjust it. Everyone pay attention to the place where the needles are in the second row. And this is the first row. This is where the first row starts. Well, do you remember the place where the needle stood up? And now we're going to take a shot. Empty needle in the next hole. Let's start crocheting in the second row. After crocheting, then we're going to wrap the crochet. Bring this thread out. How far do you pull this line? It's just flush with this first row. Don't pull it too tight. It is very natural to be flush with the first row. Then this control line each group pulls like this. It's very easy to be flush with this one. Then this is the control, the height of the foot. Don't pull it too tight. If the pull is too tight, we will have very little space to wear it. Pull too loose, our feet are too high, and there will be a lot of space. It's just flush with this one. Okay, let's take a look at the side here. Every row is the same. My thread is already drawn. After pulling, we lead the line. After we bring the thread, we will set up another lock pin. So let's do the second row. Take a look at the knitting in the second row. Every time we inject a needle, there is a big hole here. That's it. That's the lock pin in the first row. So here's the first set of patterns. Our second line of needles is right here. Inside this big hole, you can feel it. This pattern is in our big hole. Then the second row is the first row is 4 patterns. The second row has 5 patterns. Each additional row adds 1 more pattern. And you're going to remember that. And let's look at the second row. Where the needle is inserted at each position. Here's the first trick. Take a look at the first flower. The needle insertion place of the first pattern in the second row, and here it is. That's us injecting the needle. It's the needle between the pattern and the pattern. It's right here. If you can't find it clearly, you can buckle up the mark. That's it. That's the first trick. Between patterns and patterns, and then there's pattern and pattern, it's where the second row goes in. We can buckle it up. And this is the third row. Here's the third trick. It should be the fourth pattern, because the first trick is here, big hole place. Then the fifth trick, that's where we seduce and pull. Let's do a demonstration for you. This row is because some sisters are not very easy to find. Then it ticked the wrong box every time. So take a look. I have already found this needle. Then we tick the first set of patterns. It's in this big hole. Yeah, right. Hook the needle for the midfield needle. Let's hook the crochet and wind the thread. Put a needle in this big hole. Pick it a little longer. Then crochet and wind. Okay, here's the first one. Medium and long needles were next crochet and winding. So here's the first set of patterns. 5 ticks in the second row, and then we do the next shot. The crochet method of the pattern is this. It's inside this purple marking buckle. We are now remove this purple marker. Then crochet and wind. Let's take a look. Pull it out and then crochet and wind it. Okay, the second one is ready. Now let's tick the third one. Take this introduction off. Crochet winding. Needle between pattern and pattern. Crochet winding. Wrap the thread and hook a medium and long needle. After the hook is done, we are in the next pattern. Crochet. Crochet winding. This must be on the horizontal line with the level. Must be flush. The pattern hooked in this way is fuller and better looking. It's all the same. It's 2 medium and long needles. Take a look at the second row of 1234. We have to tick 5. This is the last stitch. That's where we hook the standing pin. Let's take a look. We're going to tick this off. Take it off and crochet and wind it again. Be careful not to pull it too big here. Than the previous ones? Well, the cable is a little smaller. Crochet winding, and then crochet the thread and hook another stitch from this. Okay, we're in the second row and 5th. Well, 5 sets of patterns are already hooked. I'm going to hook the 3rd row next. And then this. We are still the same. Because we have empty needles here, we also want empty needles here. And this is the empty needle. Hook in the next hole. The promotion is the end of the second lap. Crochet. Pin winding. Bring it over and drag it directly over. And we'll pull it over and we'll start setting up a pin. Okay, set up a force needle and then pull this coil out. Zoom in, then let that sole go through this coil again. Put it out, put it out. Pull this. Okay, we're done in the second row. After the second row is ticked, we're going to hook the 3rd row next. The square weaving method of the row is exactly the same. It's just that each additional row adds a pattern. Yeah, same thing. We also need to control a shot here. Did you see that? Control one needle and insert the needle into the next hole. We all knit the same way. Control one needle in a row. Pull out the thread and adjust it. This control line must be flush. Not too loose, not too tight. Okay. We are still the same. Pick up a pin. I won't bid for you here. It is the needle entry position for each turn. It's pretty obvious here. You see, this is hooked in this big hole. And here's a pattern. Needles in between patterns. It's the same. The first row may not be obvious, but the second row is obvious. Everyone can see, so I'm going to do it again. Okay. The crochet winding goes into this big hole. Attention, everyone. This control line must be hooked together. On top of the crochet, every row is... Don't be left behind. A crochet winding. Too good. We tick the next one. Crochet winding. Needle between pattern and pattern. Just insert the needle in this one. One pattern is made up of 2 medium and long needles. Between 2 patterns and patterns. This line must be well controlled. Slow down when ticking. Good stitch winding. Stitch winding. In fact, this hook is very fast. Learned earlier. And then it just keeps repeating. It keeps repeating. Okay. Crochet winding. Crochet winding. Okay, let's tick the last epoxy in the last 3rd row. Crochet winding is this place for pulling. He pulls it out, don't pull it too long here. Don't stretch the last trick in each row too long. It's more beautiful this way. If you pull it too long, it feels baggy. It doesn't look good. Here we have already hooked the 3rd row. Still the same. This is an empty needle. Here it is. Empty stitch for extraction here. Pull over. Okay then. The other locking pin stretches the coil. After the coil is stretched. This shoe is from this coil. Put it on and pull this thread. Okay, here we have the third row already ticked. Next, we're going to hook the fourth row. The method of weaving each circle is the same. All empty stitches. And here it is. Hook. So first of all, let's bring over this thread. After bringing it, then adjust the size of this control cable. The tightness should be consistent. Not too loose, not too tight. Okay. Stand a force needle. Then we tick again. Stitch winding. Hook in this big hole. 2 normal needles. Next, I'll hook faster. Hook between the big hole and the big hole. Toe. I ticked the 38 size. Here we can tick 3 or 8 rows. Now we're ticking the 4th row. We must all control this line well. Elastic consistency. The hook is also more uniform. It also looks better. Crochet winding. Okay, let's tick the last one. Stitch winding. Take this hook again for the last lap. Okay, here we are. The 4th row has already ticked 1234. Here we go. To promote him, control 1 needle and separate 1 needle. Let's do the promotion. Okay, let's do a stand-up. Coil extension. Turn the shoe around this coil. Okay, pull this thread and turn the coil down. Okay, the 4th row is already ticked. Next, let's tick the 5th row. The weaving method in the 5th row is exactly the same. Then empty a needle here. Stand up here. Pull the thread out. Please adjust the size of the thread again. Exactly on par with this one. Just don't be too loose or too tight. Then we're crocheting and winding. Pin up, then crochet and winding. Start hooking in this big hole, and I'm not going to go through them one by one. We can just hook it to the 8th row. Now we hook up to the 5th row. You can tick according to your own shoe size, and then we'll get to the 8th row. Mine is a size 38, and we'll talk. I won't hook with everyone here. Wait until the hook reaches the 8th row and talk to everyone together. Okay. I hooked it just now, and there is still the last row of 12, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're all in this together. I'll tick the 8th row for you again. Is the last row? Crochet winding. They all hook 2 medium and long needles in 1 hole. When everyone ticks this, these 3 needles have to level the 3 coils. one hole at a time. If you hook it to the back, let's take a look. Hook to the back if it's too crowded here, we can be right in front of him. Hook inside this hole, last stitch. Crochet winding can be in front of this. Don't we hook in this lock needle? If it hooks to the back, if your hand tendons are tight, he's crowded. He will appear small. We can be right here. Hook it inside a hole in the front. It was ticked here before. We can change it to this tick. Let's take a look. Then this one won't be too crowded. If you have a tight hand, you can use this. It doesn't matter if it's loose. Okay. Here we are, the 8th row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 already hooked. After the hook is done, we will proceed. If you feel that the toe cap is shallow, then you can add another row. If you just feel right, you don't need to add it. And let's take a look. This is still the same. You need to control an injection. Control a needle. Good lock needle. When it's done, we'll cut off this thread. After cutting it off, we take out that suture needle and hide the thread for him. Let's take a look. And then we're inside this V shape. Go in the middle. Put it in and let me go through that again. Walk in outside the house. Okay, after wearing it in, we are inside this needle. Just wear a few stitches. Okay, let's cut that out. Okay, we'll hook this shoe. Let's take a look. If there is a problem, if you can't tick it, you can contact me at any time. Okay, just tick here.